Chief
Alright, so 017920002, 01792300007, 01792300002, 017930007. Nigeriainfo PH, where you find us on Facebook, on X at Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH, where you will find us on and on. The number is 080303416. And as always, please do turn the volume of your radio. Pray for making doctor or free comments. See or hear it. Please comment. Please be conversations and comments.
The opinion of this program do not represent Nigeriainfo.
All right, 103-6416-09-06416. Let me say what's asking. Have you ever had because I don't know it's a situation for you? The reason why we're talking about this is because I just read a very obviously categorizing the next person that they hear right into a social class. We're not even talking about it sounds like it's like the comic relief we just had now talking about the Igala. It may not be. May just this way this person sounds doesn't sound like he's well read. Doesn't sound like he's educated. It doesn't even sound like he has money. Oh yes, ladies and gentlemen, there is a way someone could sound, and he or she could be judged to be, in quote, the lower class. And that's where we have a big problem, because when you use accents, right, as with any form of stereotyping, there is a very strong and very high likelihood that you may be disenfranchising somebody else. All right, the first message here says, good morning. I feel very embarrassed you're talking about this morning. When I was in secondary school, there used to be this boy that had a very strong Yoruba accent. It was very strong, even though he was one of the brightest. But because he had an accent, we always used to make fun of him. But now I know better. Obviously, Yoruba was his L1 language. We'll get to talk about L1 language very shortly. And he still is one of the brightest persons I know. Interestingly, he is now the manager of one of the companies that we go to have contracts with. I would like to advise people not to have any bias based on someone's accent. The fact that the person doesn't speak like you doesn't mean he or she is better or worse than you. All right, thank you very much. That's from Ezekiel. Now, one of the most famous accents that people, even on TV, like to promote is the British accents, particularly the educated, Queen's English accent. It's so sought after that English actors, when they go over to, America, they go over to Hollywood, they like to cast them, as bad guys, good guys. There's something about the English accent that people love to use. That's stereotyping. Zion is in GRA. Zion, good morning to you, please.
Jude, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Zaki from Port Harcourt. This accenting, I hope it all narrows down to what's pronunciation. So if you are privileged to be in an environment whereby they taught you on pronouncing words from the oral part, who do you have to blame?
Oh. It's not who you have to blame. What if what if wherever it is that you come from, the way you pronounce something gives an impression to another person? That's the real issue. Imagine you, Zaya, going somewhere, and when you mention your name, say, this might be like person may come from his zone. Nah, his own man. It be like saying na fisherman. How would you feel if by 30 seconds of interacting to you, they've assumed that you are a fisherman?
But Jude, let's be honest. If you are fluent in your language, your dialect, you cannot do away with the accent. You can't do away with it. Because that is your mother tongue. And your tongue has been wrapped or fold to pronounce words or to speak in your dialect. It's because today we are now being subjected to the English as a general thing, or our prime language now, that most of us are now privileged to school mix that our accents are now a little bit clean. But I think stereotyping is not good. But let's flip the discourse now. Those footballers they normally interview after the match, most of them does not speak English. True or false?
Very true.
Do we stereotype them? No. We only wait for who will come and interpret what they are saying. So this stereotyping thing, we should stop it. But what I don't like more is our people who try to claim the American accent or the British accent.
As soon as they land.
Just 3 days they left us. So this fourth day they came back. They are bringing accents to us, and I don't like it. To me, I don't like it.
So when you hear somebody, a Nigerian, right, that maybe you can tell, or maybe you have information. Okay, this person hasn't spent 5 years or 6 years. You maybe went there 3 weeks or 1 month, and you call him. When you hear that, what's the first impression that gives you?
You know, if it is 3 weeks, 6 months, I will look at it that you are fake. But if it is 1 year and above that you went to school, because I've seen a situation, those periods we have these opportunities to travel, the little kids that travel that we are still here, when they came back to visit a year later, let's be honest, their accent changed. Why? Because that was what they started teaching them, the way to pronounce these words.
Okay.
You see now? Okay. Like today now, most of our kids in school now, they need to teach them ABC like they taught us A for apple. No, everything have changed. What are they using now? A different and more sophisticated pattern. If our children talk to speak at home now, sometimes you feel na me the train this speaking on me this speaking.
Muriel is now cricket. Good morning to you, Muriel.
Thank you, dude.
Good morning. Good morning, please.
Dude, what I believe, except you don't know how to speak your mother tongue. But I think you should. There's a way you must have this
accent. Okay.
There's a way you pronounce words that accent. I think you don't know how to speak the dialect at all. The accent must be there. But dude, when I was in school, there was this girl. She came in. She started to. And she told me maybe for and she was speaking perfectly, English. And we were just walking as children and always looking for shows. She was speaking English very perfect. So it now became just like an object of most into the girl. We were thinking she just taking it and the lies and all that. But it was a very, I don't know how, whether she did it in Nigeria, but her English and grammar were just perfect. But what I believe is that as long as you know how to speak your mother tongue, this accent, one or two words, it will show.
Okay, let's agree it shows, right? Let's agree it shows. Now, how would you feel? Let me use you. Let's particularize me. How would you feel if when your accent just pop up, when your L1, a way of pronouncing an English word pops up, right? How would you feel if someone was to either appreciate or mock you? How would you feel?
If someone mocks me, in fact, I will even, it will give me more. Try to mock me because maybe one or 2 ways my accent show that I'm from a particular place. No, don't do that. If you say that there are words I have for you too, it should be a thing of pride if you really know how to speak your mother tongue, your mother tongue. But if you try to correct me in a way, okay, don't pronounce it like this, no, then it's fine. But if you try to mock me, because I pronounce one or two words, you get it as what that you gave me now. But I think we should not mock those that their accent, portray where they come from. Honestly, we should.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Honestly, we shouldn't. Well, that's actually what the science is trying to do. The science is trying to let you know that those accent biases, right, that people have, right, can be counterproductive. All right. Now, you'll be surprised to hear that sometimes your mind, right, can not only identify accents but also create specific accents based on visual and written cues. That's what we talk about terms and the serious academic work. But let me give you one very typical example before we go on a break. You know how Nigerians are very quick to tease our Ghanaian cousins. Big shout out to you, Kofi Bartels. And they say the pastor. We say pastor, right? The Ghanaians say pastor. He has been healed. When you hear that, right? You can, for some people, they can, if not most people, they can, oh, that guy is Ghanaian. Not only is he Ghanaian, he is probably from Accra. Aha. And then you start to imagine certain things, start to stereotype him. I wonder what we'll find out.
Nigeria will be right back.
Ladies, I need to do some back.
Call in and tell us, and we would like to have you, discuss it with us this morning. Now, a few years ago, a young man comes into a school, right? It was in the seminar in his UK, right? And because he lived all his life in the UK, he sent him down to Nigeria because he was told and fight him. So he comes to school, and the very second person good name is everybody. Hey, oh. Now, and led to two us means his classmate. We cannot cool him. That's now our classmate. We want to befriend him. I want you to look at him. They decide to give him all the that you can grass. So I can't eat this. My friend will go on grass. Look up. Good morning. React to one's accent. Call me we want. Sure, we position. That's why you can prove. Shall we tweet now? The CEO
And he shared the program do not represent the position of Nigeriainfo FM. Nigeriainfo.
Hi, 7923002 01793 01793 PH at Nigeria and is negative for you. And those of you who haven't or who would say which of the roles were reversed. Let's talk. Actually, let's stop first. What do you mean by bad accent? What is a act? I'm sure you're still in because you feel more. In Georgia, what do you mean by bad accent? Because example I gave, Eric Cantona, former Manchester United football player and obviously legend of that club. All right, he's a Frenchman, right? But he speaks English. But he speaks English with a very strong French accent. So when he speaks, would you say that's a bad accent? Would you say, oh, it turns you off? 92.3. Hello, Potako. Good morning. Oh dear, it's a drop call scenario. Apologies there. Service provider challenges. Now, continue with the message. Even here in Rivers State, we have tribes that pronounce words in a manner that's not comfortable for me. They pronounce words like ice as heis. Ice. Oh, ice you mean. Okay, as heis. Home as chairman as chairman. Especially some of our Yoruba friends. Even our dear Zion and okay, it's okay. So who's KDB? Are guilty of this. All right, chairman. Okay, when I hear people speak like this, I just tune to a channel station as Escobar. So once again, Escobar. Right, we're talking about biases. What exactly is a bad accent? So if an Italian was to speak the English language in his Italian accent, would you be turned off? Because the research shows that some biases, right, would categorize people, class, even race, and social standing. So once again, okay, imagine how many of you have ever heard a British person speak Yoruba. One of the wildest things I've ever experienced in my short time on this planet is a Russian speaking Bini. I kid you not. She's a lecturer. Is she still alive? Well, when I was in Benin, she was a lecturer at the University of Benin. She's Russian as Russian can get. But she speaks Bini. And I mean, Bini, Kong Bini, Oredo Bini language. That's what she speaks. Now, imagine hearing her, right, speak Bini. This is a very strong. You can almost smell it. The Russian intonation in the Bini that she's speaking. So if I was to hear that, right? Would that turn me off? Should that turn me off? Or do you understand that, okay, this person is speaking the language that is not his or her L1 language, or is a language that he just recently learned? Interesting times. 017-923-0002, 017-923-0003, 017-923-0002, 017-923-0003. All right, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. At Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. Hi, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine, I'm good.
Okay, what's your name?
It's Prosper calling from Ada George.
All right, Prosper, talk to us. Has your accent ever led to a positive or negative experience for you?
For me, I don't even enjoy it when I can tell where you are from by just hearing your accent. No, I don't like when, some people come with this very boutique accent and be like, hey, nah, man, what, kind of thing. If you just, come to you and they are speaking and you just, oh, this person is Igbo, oh, this person is Hausa. No, it's a turn off for me.
Why? Why is it a turn off for you?
Because it just feels as if you're not from a modern world.
You're not from a modern world? Oh, okay, so what is a modern world to you, Precious? Sorry, Prosper.
For me, it's as if you're just coming from the village. Yes.
Okay.
You have to improve. You need to be worked on. Something that needs to be worked on.
Okay, now let me ask you this question. Have you heard a Ghanaian speak before?
Oh, Ghanaian. Okay, those ones. Yeah, I've heard.
You've heard Ghanaians speak, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, when you hear them, do you still feel that they are in the ancient times?
No matter how they try to speak the English.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, there's even a more interesting aspect to this, because for those of you who are Nigerians, once again, until you travel, you never truly understand or appreciate how different you truly sound. All right. Now, if you've heard Kenyans, sometimes the Kenyans, when they hear you Nigerians speak, they can tell immediately that guy, that brethren, is Nigerian. See the way he's saying those words, hungry. You're so hungry. When the Ghanaian hears you, this is our Nigerian brother. I don't understand why he's passing this road. We don't do that here. We don't do that here. We ask our pastors. Well, meanwhile, you guys are very strongly saying pastor. See? You see you guys do that. Well, one of my colleagues is here. Ifechukwu, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Have you ever had a positive or negative experience based off an accent?
Yes, I've had both experiences. Okay, so growing up, I had this very thick Anambra accent where I had issues with pronouncing words like rice. I used to pronounce them like lice then, and
really?
church, I used to pronounce it like shosh. So
shosh.
Yeah.
Is that we call pronounce? You say shosh. But that's how
it was for the church part. It was more of a childhood problem. So children growing up, they had difficulty pronouncing some sounds.
Yes.
I had that issue till I was 12 years, 13 years. So it was through because people laughed at me so much in class that I decided
that's the negative experience.
Exactly,
right?
That's the negative experience. So now, haven't actually been able to go through that route and been able to improve my English to sound like this. By the way, which is actually the reason why I'm working here today. Ever since the period I've been in school, I've had negative experiences concerning the fact that I sound so eloquent to the point where people can't even recognize that I'm Nigerian anymore. So it becomes a problem. You move from one end to the other. people are not happy. You sound so. They say you sound fake. They say you're forming the accent.
Did you just listen to that last caller?
Yes,
he said, "Oh, he doesn't like to know where you are from. Just he doesn't want to know that you are from your."
Don't worry. Okay. There's another thing I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
In linguistics, we do have a system of classification for Nigerian English.
Okay.
So we have the standard, what we look up to as what people can call as a standard Nigerian accent, which is an accent that cannot tell where you are from Nigeria.
Okay.
And these people, when they travel abroad, people can still tell that they are Nigerians. Because they've reached a point of eloquence where they pronounce words appropriately to an extent, but maybe the rhythm of their speech is still tells you that they are Nigerian. Okay. So when they're in Nigeria, they feel like they've arrived, and they don't have this accent. They don't have this Iwotic accent. They don't have Yoruba accent. But when immediately they cross over, they discover that people can tell that they are Nigerian. Exactly. So that is it. A typical example of somebody like that who has achieved that eloquence. Pronouncing her words majestically is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie.
Okay.
And if you've seen the movie Bob Hart Abishola, if you know that lady Abishola, I've listened to her and I've been doing some sort of content with her on my social media platform. And to tell Nigerians that you can actually sound Nigerian, still pronounce your words appropriately, and still sound so Nigerian. And people can understand you anywhere around the world. And that should be the goal of everybody.
That should be the goal of everybody. All right, but we're talking about biases now. We're talking about your accent bias. He's had his, and I'm very sure somebody there is knocking their head. Say, why did you call the Akwa Ibom accent? Because the Akwa Ibom accent, the Efik Ijoid accent, is one of the most comically used accents in this part of the world. There are comedians that have made their names, right, but just playing off that accent. All right, and so you could say, okay, that this person has gotten a positive effect by just making comedy off that. But on the roads, in fact, the document I have in front of me, right, shows that some people, because of their bias, tend to place certain accents as societally low.
That's true.
They can hear an accent. Take, for example, when somebody hears the very strong Efik or a Ibibio accent, they may go, that person is probably not well read.
Yes.
And from your experience, nothing could be further from the truth.
Well, I don't think that that's actually true. I think some people don't make that extra effort to improve the way they speak.
But should they?
I was actually quite intelligent when I was younger, and I had that accent.
But should they?
Should they?
Yes.
Well, I think because I think. Let me tell you one thing. I think if it impedes your communication, you should do something about it. Yes, some people have. I heard you make the argument of someone of an Italian having a strong Italian accent. I'd like to say that Italian accent is not strong because you understand it. You only appreciated it because you can understand what he's saying. Right? When you heard the Italian man, you knew he was Italian, but you could actually understand what he's saying. It means that the person does not really have that kind of thick accent you might be thinking that they have. Because have you listened to some Indians? Sometimes I go online. I want to.
I school with the Indians. They have a very strong
exactly
accent.
So and they have gradients as well. There are some that have this really thick accent. You try so hard to understand them, but at some point you don't even. Some have this light accent to theirs, which sounds so musical, and you enjoy them, especially people who watch all this Z word, exactly. And when you watch and you listen to them, and they seem to have this slight thing with their T, you know how they pronounce their T when they were there, and you love it. So they're not mispronouncing words at that point in time, but they are still retaining the originality of their essence, which is what everyone should also aim to achieve.
But once again, I understand that yes, people should improve if you're communicating, but should I need to sound more British than the Brit?
No.
Do I need to sound more Italian than Italian because I'm trying to speak Italian? Once again, is the eternal argument between Airwall languages and your other subsequent languages. So let's get back to the phone line. 017-923-0002, 017-923-0007. All right. Have you had positive or negative experiences because of the accent that you possess? Is it a big deal? My colleague is saying, hey, look, you should improve. But let me before I take this call, please listen to this. This is Eric.
I'm very happy and very proud, and at the same time I'm not surprised. I've been surprised not being elected. I'm not surprised.
You can tell he's French.
Yes, and I understood everything he said.
Yes.
That because he's reduced his accent.
But you can tell he's French.
Yes, I can tell he's French.
So why do I have to sound more British? If Aaron, I agree with you. Yes, I can understand him, but why do I have to sound any more British than the Brit?
I think people misunderstand this thing. You don't necessarily need to sound British or American, but if you choose, that's your goal, that you want to acquire that because of something that you're looking for, maybe because you live abroad and you're seeking to climb the corporate ladder there, and you feel that it will really be a good thing for you to sound so,
British
standard in the way you speak British. Exactly. You can go ahead and learn it, but it's not mandatory. What is important is that you gain communicative competence where you can communicate globally. Anybody speaking English in the world should be able to understand you.
92.3. Hello, Potako. Good morning, please. Hello. Hi, good morning.
I'm calling from.
Where are you calling from, please? I hear that.
I'm still coming from Potako.
From Potako, what's your name?
My name is Joseph.
All right, Joseph, talk to us, please.
I want to.
Okay, all right. That is not very clear, Joseph. You have to please try again. Now, this is a very interesting message. Let me read this to you. It says, have you listened to La Liga commentary? They make it a priority to have a person with that deep Spanish accent as the second commentator. So the person has the Spanish accent, right? Obviously, is their football, right? But they're broadcasting to English speakers, English watchers, English fans around the world. But you can tell that this person is from Spain. The way they pronounce the words, the English words, and also the Spanish words with the dialect, everything is still there. They don't sound any less Spanish than they need to.
But then people understand them
with the Spanish accent. So why can't we just let Ocon, speak English and he can tell, oh my God, my name's Ocon. Why can't we just let it like that?
If Ocon is able to work on pronouncing some words appropriately while he's still retaining his local accent, I think it will be easily understood. But Nigerians, if I'm to list a lot of words that we mispronounce, it's the pronunciation.
But that's the thing. It's not just about the pronunciation. I agree.
The audio you played, the guy did not mispronounce any word, but he had this wave like.
Let's listen to another one.
Up next year, they can win the league. So now they have tried to have found somebody like Ole, who was a player when Alex Ferguson was manager.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something. They don't pronounce the in their language, so he's using the. In that language, the same way in Nigeria, we don't pronounce the as well. But when we say the, and when we say t for everything, if you say everything, and you constantly maintain that t for every place where there's th, you're replacing it. People will easily understand you. The same thing that happens to Ghanaians when Ghanaians say lav. And they are not saying love. The lav is consistent in pronunciation, and so it's easy for someone to just pick that particular. Okay, this is it. This is what represents this.
They love
and they put it and they use it. But for instance, Nigerian now. We pronounce this particular sound found in love. We pronounce it as love.
Love.
And then
what's wrong with it? You say
no, nothing is wrong. But the thing is the fact that in some other places where we're supposed to maintain that love, for example, in words like dove, we don't say dove now. We now say dove. So it makes it
is because we are local people.
No. If we're gonna maintain that love. And say that wherever we find love, money, dove, instead of dove, that kind of sound change, it's what makes it so difficult for someone to now understand. Okay, he said it here. He said love here. He said dove here. So that means he's not talking about dove. He's talking about you dove
into the pool.
Exactly. So
okay.
This is but if you maintain a particular sequence like this French guy, it says zion, and any place where it ends in Sean, they say Sion or communication, and it will be, you will easily understand, okay, this is what he's saying. There is
but you know, in our case, it's because we have so many dialects. We have the Ijoid, you know, you have the Igboid, you have the Yoruba.
That's not the case. Let me tell you one thing. If an Akwa Ibom person who says Akwa Ibom person, they use J. Their J is because it's usually year for most. That's why they say Yonshon, right? Yeah. So if maybe you're speaking English and in every place where there is a J, you're putting you there, and when someone listens to you and has listened to you for a while, the person will be okay.
That's what he's trying to say.
This is the system that he speaks, and he will understand that this is the accent. Whenever he says this, I know that he's trying to say this. Same thing with an Igbo person. Whenever the person, especially people from Anambra State, whenever they say rice and they say lice, you will know, and they say red as lead or red. So you can place it immediately. But if you're pronouncing it differently here and pronouncing it differently there, it can cause somebody not to really completely understand.
So that's why people have those positive and negative experiences.
Yes,
because they are varied. Okay. All right, let me read this. Hello, Jude. I love accented English so much. I was born and raised in Lagos, and I love the Ibadan accent so much. In fact, accents make you identify where you are from and let no one feel less human because his or her English has an accent. Bernard from Port Harcourt. Let no one feel more or less because of the accent. Dear Jude, if you want to speak language, go and speak it in the accent. Unless we want to limit it to just English language. Imagine a Hausa man speaking Igbo in Hausa accent.
Yeah. That he's making a point there. He's making a point there.
but then again, that's what it should be, because the Frenchman is speaking English with his French accent. The Hausa man, I have an uncle who's a polyglot. Yes. In fact, one of our colleagues downstairs, one of our staff members, is a polyglot. He speaks about 5 languages.
Okay.
And if he still, jump and switch from between, you probably tell, okay, this is where he's coming from. Because
but people don't find it funny when you speak their language and you're mispronouncing it. I'm going to be very particular about Igbo people. I've seen videos of Igbo children who grew up abroad, and when they speak the Igbo language, they tend to speak it with an accent. And if you see the way some people tend to vilify them for sounding the way they do, or you learn Igbo and you come out and you're trying so hard to speak it, or you've not lived in Igbo land for many years and you come back and you learned the language and you're trying to speak it and you're not speaking it so well, they are going to
isn't the same way we feel, but isn't it the same way people feel when you jump out of the plane, you land at Gatwick Airport, and next thing you're going in it. You're trying to So why can't you speak the language in the way you are comfortable with?
Yes, that's another thing. You have to speak the language succinctly in your Nigerian accent.
All right, there you are. We'll leave you with that. Whatever your Nigerian accent is, please speak it. Be proud of it. But like my colleague here is saying, you need to improve. Get to speaking in such a way that people can understand you.
Communication is key.
Communication is key. All right. Guys, news coming away in a few short minutes, just about 3 minutes on the dot. And after that, the sunny side of conversations. My name is Jude. Thank you as always for joining us on our conversations. And speak well. Whatever makes you happy, you do that.
Talk radio.